A middle-aged woman briskly walked up to the entrance of Fula supermarket, looking at the old man. "Mr. Zhang, why is Qingchen here again to play chess with you?" The tone of their conversation suggested that they knew each other. However, Mr. Zhang's tone was not as polite. "Why are you asking me about your son? He has no living expenses and can only earn a little money for meals by playing chess." The middle-aged woman, Zhang Wanfang, was stunned. "But I give his father Qingchen's living expenses every month." This statement also stunned Mr. Zhang. "Then I don't know what's going on." Mr. Zhang pondered. Zhang Wanfang was not a poor person, and it seemed that she gave Qingchen a lot of living expenses, but why was the boy still living so tightly? Qingchen didn't seem like a spendthrift. He lived frugally every day, never taking a sip of a beverage. Shouldn't he be attending evening self-study at this time? Zhang Wanfang asked. Only then did Mr. Zhang remember. He seemed to say he was waiting for someone. "No, I have to go home and check," said Zhang Wanfang. As she was about to leave quickly with her cake, she heard the man next to her say, "Wanfang, it's Haohao's birthday today, we've already made reservations, and we have to take him to a movie after dinner." Zhang Wanfang turned to look at the man. "Qingchen might have skipped class, I can't just ignore it. He's 17 and can take care of himself, and besides, there's his real father." The man finished and then slowed his tone. "Actually, it's okay to go see him on the weekend. Today let's accompany Haohao first." Upon hearing this, Zhang Wanfang furrowed her brows, but after a few seconds, she eventually sighed. "Okay, let's celebrate Haohao's birthday first today." In the shady path of the west residential compound of the city hall, Qingchen silently walked under the camphor tree. Unlike the style of modern high-rise buildings, the houses here are all four-story low-rise buildings from the 1970s, without elevators, gas, and the sewer occasionally gets blocked. High-power appliances cannot be used at home, as they would trip the circuit breaker. Qingchen entered the dim entrance, ignoring the lock opening and house-selling ads on the wall like psoriasis, took out his keys and opened the door of his first-floor home. A 76-square-meter house with 2 bedrooms and a living room. The first-floor room has poor lighting. He took out his phone, scrolled through his contacts, and made a call. "Hello, Dad." The voice on the other end of the phone interrupted him. "If you want living expenses, go to your mother. I have no money, she is very rich now." In the midst of the conversation, the sound of playing mahjong came from the other side of the phone. "I don't want money," Qingchen said in a low voice. "I haven't asked you for money in a long time." "Then what is it?" the man impatiently asked. "Another parent-teacher conference at school?" "Go to your mother, this kind of thing." Before the other party could finish speaking, Qingchen hung up the phone this time. He leaned lightly against the closed door of his home, then lifted the sleeve of his school uniform. He stared blankly at the white numbers and symbols on his forearm, like a countdown of 5 hours 58 minutes and 13 seconds. The white numbers were like glowing tattoos embedded in his flesh and skin. No matter how he rubbed, he couldn't erase them. Looking closely at them, Qingchen also saw special and intricate patterns in the numbers, like mechanical parts interlocking with each other, full of a futuristic sense of technology. The numbers were changing silently. Countdown 5 hours 58 minutes and 12 seconds. Countdown 5 hours 58 minutes and 11 seconds. With only 5 hours and 58 minutes left, all of this seemed to be reminding Qingchen that something incredible would happen in 5 hours and 58 minutes. Even though there was no sound, Qingchen distinctly heard the ticking of the second hand in his heart. Qingchen glanced at the phone that had just hung up and then at the empty room. He didn't know what kind of life he would face after 5 hours and 58 minutes, he only knew that the only one he could rely on was himself. Time is a heavy unit of measurement. The length of life, the breadth of civilization, are all marked by it. The concept of time exists in everyone's life. So when any countdown appears in your life, no matter what it counts down to, it will give you a sense of urgency. There are still 5 hours, and no one knows what the end point of this countdown is. Could it be danger? Or another kind of life? Qingchen couldn't be sure, he could only make the worst assumption first. Therefore, he must prepare some things before this countdown is over. If danger really comes, then he needs to, at least within his power, have some ability to resist danger. Qingchen changed into a clean gray coat, using the shadow of the hood to cover his face. In the cover of night, he went out and walked towards the farmer's market. In October in Luocheng, the sky was already dark. The sound of cooking came from the residential building, the explosion sound made by the collision of vegetables and oil, followed by a tempting smell. The smell of eggs, pork, and mutton, like strands of information elements, rushed into Qingchen's brain. When one day he needs this information, he can extract a save from his memory. He bought pliers and a shovel at the hardware store, a bag of rice and a bag of flour, as well as table salt at the grain and oil store. He also bought several boxes of antibiotics at the pharmacy, batteries, flashlights, and compressed biscuits at the supermarket. When he didn't know what he was going to face, he could only prepare as much as possible. These things almost depleted all of Qingchen's savings. After Qingchen brought the items home, he went into the kitchen. He first placed the usable knives on the cutting board in the most convenient places in the room. The kitchen knife was placed under the pillow, and the boning knife was placed on the bedside table. Countdown 2 hours 43 minutes 11 seconds. He checked that all the doors and windows were tightly closed, and then sat on the edge of the bed to ponder, should he seek help? Who to find? His mother has a new family, and his father is a gambler. In fact, when Qingchen discovered a few hours ago that a countdown had appeared on his arm, the 17-year-old him instinctively wanted to seek help from his parents. But he denied this idea. Qingchen tried to take a photo of the white countdown on his arm with his phone, but found that the white lines that were clearly visible to his naked eyes did not appear on the phone screen at all. The room was dimly lit without lights on, the windows were not soundproofed, and because it was on the first floor, he could often hear the footsteps of pedestrians outside. The footsteps outside, the breathing inside the room, the dimly lit phone screen, everything was so peaceful and eerie. For such eerie and absurd things, seeking help from ordinary people is probably useless, and he doesn't have any particularly good friends at school either. Even if there were, he shouldn't involve ordinary people in such matters, should he? So, if he wants to seek help, he can only think of other ways. Wait, Qingchen seemed to think of something. He got up and went into the living room to search. 2 minutes later, he silently looked at the Guanyin Bodhisattva pendant in his hand. Then he carefully placed it in front of him and bowed 9 times. The last preparation, done.